live. Welcome to yet another PCS Impact Q&A. I'm your host, MJ Boyce, and I'm the Director of Community Outreach at PCS Grades. Boom! With me, as always, is the lovely Megan Harless, our resident PCS Perform advocate, and oh, by the way, resident BA censored for little ears in your room because we love you. We've got a great topic here for you today because guess what? You, my friends, are the subject matter experts today. Our guest is a realtor and veteran spouse as well. But before we get to her, I'm going to go ahead and start off with those housekeeping items as we do every week. Ready, set, here we go. Okay. First and foremost, we bring the experts to you, from Transcom to education experts to industry professionals in the moving industry. We bring them to you so that you can ask those questions, okay? We have the answers. If we don't have the answers, guess what? We know who does. And if we don't know either of those things, we're going to take your questions for action and get back to you with an answer. Speaking of questions, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please list them below in the comments section, because here's the thing. We need engagement today because you guys are technically the guests. Our industry professionals are watching that are in the real estate industry, and our lovely guest is actually going to be helping us not only answer your questions, but also be asking you questions, because we need to educate the experts. This is your chance to give your 2 cents to help them serve us better, because let's just face it, our lives are a little cray, right? So we could, the more you go ahead and the more you comment and the more shout outs are great. LOL smiley faces are encouraged, but the LOL smiley faces don't get an entry to win, because we've got prizes, people. We have lots of prizes, and the more you engage, the better chance you have to win. Okay, so we've got that. We've got, our experts. So yes, we bring these experts to you. In this case, you're the expert. But sometimes you're going to have a question, a comment, or concern that has to do with your specific military family and your specific situation. And in that case, your resource will forever and always be, number 1, your local chain of command. Number 2, your local transportation office. Those are the people who know you. Those are the people who are dealing with your stuff. Those are the people who could take your issues and further them for actual action. Last, but certainly not least, we need to do our part, people. We've got to flatten the curve. We have got to flatten that curve. Wear your mask, social distance, whatever it takes, because we need to flatten that curve. And when we do, we're going to flatten Murphy with it. Do you hear me, Murphy? We are coming for you. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Megan for those DoD updates. Megan?
Hey, everybody. So I got just one thing for you today, and it's a clarification about the 7-day spread that we have recently talked about various times. That's going to be taking effect May 15th of this year. And so to give you a little background as to exactly what that 7-day spread means and how it's to be utilized. So when you go to set up your move on DPS, you input your requested pickup date. You don't really input any of your requested pack dates. Those are kind of auto-generated by DPS based off of your estimated size of shipment and off of your requested pickup date. In the past, or currently right now, you would also input some alternate pickup dates. Going forward on May 15th with the 7-day window, what it means is that if you'd put in May 10th as your requested pickup date, within 7 days of May 10th, they are to come pick up your shipment. Now, that doesn't mean you're kind of waiting there for that week, waiting for them to come show up type of deal. When your company, your transportation service provider, your moving company is assigned your shipment, within 3 days of being assigned that shipment, they should be contacting you. And when they contact you, that is the time where the discussion happens about your pickup date. So, you put in that your requested pickup date is May 10th. They may say, hey, we can do it May 11th or May 12th type of deal, but it has to be within 7 days of that requested pickup date. So that's the time to kind of negotiate your packing days with that pickup date. So that's just kind of, a little background information, a little more clarity on how that 7-day spread window should be utilized. But you'll know in advance what that agreed upon pickup date is within that 7-day window. So you're able to coordinate and plan and do everything you need to do around that date. You're not just sitting in your house for 7 days wondering where they're coming. You'll know that date within 3 days of them being assigned your shipment. So you'll be able to have ample time to be able to properly plan. So that's all I got for today. So I'll send it back to you, MJ.
Awesome. Thank you for those official updates because, here's the thing. As I say every week, everybody, Megan goes down the policy rabbit hole so that we don't have to. She's here to break it down in digestible pieces so that we can have a smoother PCS. Thank you, Megan. All right, moving on down the line, I would like to introduce everybody to our special guest today who we're going to help educate, and she is going to in turn help educate other people in her industry. I would like to introduce you to Renee Anderson, the realtor extraordinaire. Hi. And so if you could go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, Renee, that would be awesome.
Okay. I am Renee Anderson. I'm a realtor for Coldwell Banker Access Realty here in Warner Robins, Georgia. I've been a real estate agent for about 14 years now. Little background about me that people think is kind of unique, I guess, is that my husband and I met in 9th grade. We dated for 9 years. We got married at the ages of 23 and 24. We have 2 children. We had our first child at 27, our second child at 29. One was born at Eglin Air Force Base. The second was born at at Robins Air Force Base. So our son's now graduated from college. He's 23. And then our daughter goes to UGA. She's a senior this year. So we are empty nesting. So like we tell our kids, we're a good time waiting to happen. But I've been doing real estate for almost 14 years, and I absolutely love it, love it, love it, found my niche. So I'm excited to be on here with y'all.
Oh my gosh, Renee, let me just say, you fit right in. You're a what waiting to happen?
A good time.
Okay, somebody please create a hashtag, make it happen right now. Write it down. That's awesome. You're fitting right in. You're fitting right in, sister.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Okay, so just to our audience, this is what we need from you because this is how it's going to kind of go. I'm going to ask Renee a couple of questions. But we're also going to ask you these questions, and you will be prompted. We'll say, okay, to the audience, this is what we want to know. And while you're typing your answers and while we're engaging with you, we're also going to ask Renee similar questions because, just like you said, Renee, you've lived this life too. So you kind of get it. You're going to help us help them. Okay, so here's the first question. Ready? Renee, so the military is obviously a transit community. Like let's start with your personal PCS experience. How many times have you personally PCSed and what were your biggest pain points during that problem? And also to the audience, while she's answering, we would love to know how many times you've PCSed as well. So go ahead, Renee.
All right. So we've actually been, I don't know if you want to call it fortunate or not. So our first base was Eglin Air Force Base. So 4 times total. Eglin Air Force Base, then to Robins Air Force Base, then to Langley Air Force Base, back to Robins Air Force Base, which is where he's retired. And so now he's civil service on the base here at the Air Force Reserve Command, the headquarters. So probably the biggest thing for me was the children, the schools. Acclimating them. And I try to always be a positive, upbeat person. It's just my personality, always has been. So I always tell the children, I look at it as an adventure. We get to live, like when we moved to Langley Air Force Base, there was going to be stairs in the home because we stayed on base housing at that point. Because, when we lived in Warner Robins, the house prices were very reasonably priced. So we bought our first house. We were ecstatic. Our son was a year old. I was pregnant with our daughter. We ended up having her here. Then a few years later, we got orders to Langley Air Force Base. We thought, well, we had such good luck buying a house in Warner Robins. We're going to buy one at Langley, right? We get there. Oh, my goodness, total shock because the home prices were off the chain high. Old homes, crazy money. We're like, okay, we are not doing that. So we stayed in Bethel Manor. But anyway, we moved back and then we ended up buying a bigger home. So the biggest thing is the school zone. You want to be in the right school zone. You want to try to connect. You want to get your kids involved, whether it be story time at the library, things of that nature. And then eventually you'll end up meeting kids your children's age. And then you'll also meet women or men, whatever, families, and connect that way.
Makes sense. Okay, so just to peruse over here, we've got, let's see, PCS number 8 in 15 years coming this summer. Shout out, Jessica. We are feeling you. We're feeling you. Head over to PCS Grade so you can take a look at those resources because Lord knows we're trying to make it smoother for you. Sarah Rod, shout out Sarah. Yes, 5. I actually myself have been through 5. Yes. And it's interesting to know, and I think we should also note that that when we PCS, sometimes we actually move houses more than we move states or countries or whatever. So while my 5 PCSs actually equal about 6 moves, because we had to stay in an apartment with no furniture for 3 months when we first moved to our first duty station. So yeah, so that is a caveat as well. Okay, Megan, you're up next.
Yeah, so you kind of already answered this, Renee, where you have you've lived at Warner Robins now for 2 times.
Right.
So with that, I mean, was there anywhere else that you kind of were looking forward to wanting to go back to, or someplace you wanted to PCS to that you never got the chance to go that you wanted to? And then, to our audience here, have you ever been stationed at someplace more than once, or is there someplace that you would love to get stationed at and you just haven't found your way there yet?
For me, I have mixed emotions, I'll be honest. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to go to Hawaii or somewhere like that.
Yeah.
But the only thing that in the back of my mind I struggled with was my children and being so far away from family. And if we go, I would only wanted to be there for a year, maybe, and then I wanted to come back to the States and be close enough to family. So yeah, that's pretty much. But I'm totally happy with where we're at, how it happened. I do believe there's a reason, there's a plan for everything. So,
yeah.
Oh, no, absolutely. So I always joke. Here's the thing. I actually spent 8 years at our previous duty station. 8 years. We did get 3 sets of orders while we were there. They just never got executed, right? Like they were just like, oh, just kidding. Just kidding. You're not going nowhere.
Wow.
So for 8 years, right? And so, I always said, why don't I guess you could say like, no, we didn't go somewhere and then come back. But if that were an option, I would go back to what I know. Like that's what I would think kind of. So I kind of consider Beaufort, South Carolina as my triple tour, 3 times fast. Yeah. 8 years, y'all. It adds up. All right. Shout out Beaufort, by the way. I'm curious to know, have any of you ended up at the same installation twice, like left and come back, or maybe just bounced from squadron to squadron or battalion to battalion, kind of like myself here? Let's see. Okay. Sarah Rudd. Shout out Sarah. She's been to Buckley Air Force Base twice, 10 years collectively. See, we're like subject matter experts sometimes of our own duty stations that we end up at. I just think that's awesome. And to answer the previous question, Monica Barfield, shout out Monica. She would love Florida, Hawaii, or Japan. So if any of the people who deal with orders are listening, take notes, because Florida, Hawaii, or Japan for Monica Barfield. Okay.
Florida for me, please.
Florida's awesome. That's where Eglin's at.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. See, that's how I learned about geography, is through the bases. I can't do geography. I cannot. But the bases help me. Okay, so the next question is mostly strictly to our audience. And while you're answering, I'm going to give you a little anecdote. So I want to know, to our audience specifically, what do you think are like the main things that a realtor should know about our community, about the military community? For example, like it's not just like we're relocating to a new house. We're like literally starting over, right? So I would like you to tell everybody who's watching, as well as our lovely guest, Renee, what are the main things that realtors should know about our community, like a must know? Me personally, as you all are answering, because keep them coming, every comment is a entry to win. Me personally, when I'm looking, what I want my realtor to know is my pain points, like what my life looks like. So I can't always come and view a house front and center in real time. I might have to do that virtually. Everybody's having to go that route right now, but I might not be able to do that. So I would expect, even pre-COVID, for them to try and help me, because we can't, like if we're PCSing from South Carolina to California, we get house hunting leave, but I can't afford to go out there and do that. I'm just saying. So having an advocate there with like, how we got this house here, iPad, camera, video, go. And it was literally a video tour. And I'm like, this is so cool. And this was like 4.5 years ago, by the way. So she was ahead of her time. But yeah, like it was that's my biggest thing, is to know those pain points that we can't always do, those deadlines that we need, we can't always meet. So we have to work around them in a different way. That's me. So let's see what we got over here from some of our peeps here. Paulette, shout out Paulette. We need good resale properties, which is absolutely true. Oh, see, you got Renee clapping over here. What? Baby shark. Yes, I just went there. So no, I mean, that's absolutely key, because we know we're gonna leave again. What we do when we leave with that house is entirely up to whether or not it is a good resale property. That is a fantastical suggestion. Paulette, what else do we have? Let's see. Sarah Rod, shout out Sarah. Where are the best schools? This is a very important for a place like Denver. Now here's the thing. If I'm not mistaken, and please correct me if I'm wrong. So it's kind of like it's either written or it's unwritten rule that realtors can't always say these are the best schools. So because that's a thing, and because realtors can't necessarily say that out loud, where would you point them for them to be able to get the information they're looking for to figure that out?
Okay, good question. And you are correct. The best schools are the key, because that's also going to be the resale area when you go to resell. So greatschools.org is where I send people. So always remember that, greatschools.org, and it will give you the rundown of the schools in your area. Number 2 is if you have, or your spouse has any contacts with anyone else here at the base. I always tell people that those are your resources, and they can kind of guide you too. I can't guide you. I can kind of, because I've been in your situation, so I know how important that is, but I can't like come right out and tell you what school zones you need to be in. So.
And that is a really good point. And I would just like to also point out that PCS grades allows you to see the schools that are in the area that you're moving to. When you come to our website and you type in that installation that you're researching, and you find that maybe you're looking at a particular on or off base housing, those schools will pop up, and we do have it through Great Schools is kind of embedded into our website so that you'll see it right there. That way, if you want to review a school or read the reviews of those schools, you could just click right there. It's right there. So good. Okay, let me see. Who else do we have? Oh, this is important to Angela. Angela, shout out Angela. What's important to her is the safe areas and easy to drive to base, and it's helpful for viewing closings and viewing and closings remotely. Kind of like I said, that's a huge plus side, because it's it's a necessary evil. It has to happen. Thank God for technology. Shout out Angela. Yeah, we have a lot of great engagement. Keep it coming, people. Every single comment and question and answer is an entry to win. You're making our back end person work for her cash today. Yes, you are. Go ahead, Megan.
Yeah, so to keep it going here with our audience, so I want to ask everybody that's watching today, how many times have you bought a house when you PCS'd? And when your service member got orders again to go to a different location, did you sell that home or did you keep it and rent it out? And was there anything that kind of made that decision easier for you between selling versus renting? And while we're waiting for those comments to come in from everybody here watching, Renee, I want to go ahead and ask you about your own family's experiences and the families that you've served. Do they typically sell their home when they get orders to move away, or do some of them end up keeping it as a rental home?
Majority sell, because the market here, I noticed when we went to Langley, people could buy their homes for maybe $250,000, but then turn around and sell it for $450 or $500 to make a huge profit. In this area, it's pretty steady. So let's say if you bought a $250,000 home, you could probably sell it for $275,000, $300,000 if you're in the right zone, the right area, which is what I try to help people with. But so when we first, I have several clients that are military that have bought here before, and they know they're probably coming back here. So they will rent it out, go away. But then I've had 2 of them in the last year that get orders back here. And guess what? They've now got 3 more kids. So that other house is still going to remain their rental, and they're buying a bigger home because they need the space, which is exactly what happened to us. The first house ever we bought was here at Robbins, Warner Robins, Georgia. And we moved away to Langley. We came back, and guess what? We were ready. We decided we just want to get bigger and better. So we did, because I was going back to work because I was a stay-at-home mom previously. So now I'm going back to work. So we bought bigger, and we still have that house to this day since 97. We still rent it out, and we do great with it. But most people do sell.
Most people do sell. And, I know that right now, and this is huge, I know that right now, like the housing market is insane.
It is phenomenal.
Well, and of course for you, but okay, so if I'm a seller or if I'm an agent, yeah, that would be awesome. But here's the thing: we got PCS season coming up, and let me tell you, I'm looking at houses right now. And when I'm looking at houses in my area, they come up, and then there's another screen that says, "Just kidding, just kidding." Somebody already bought it. You know what I mean? And it's like so frustrating.
Every day here right now. That's crazy. I have somebody coming into town on Monday, and I'm like, why are you? He's a military guy, and I'm so excited he's coming. I've been talking with him for over a month through email, and phone. I'm excited for him to come. But the thing is, what he's looking at, it's not going to be here Monday. So I said, we're just going to look Monday morning when you get here. I'll look Sunday night, and we're probably going to do a new construction, which takes a few months to build. But he's coming to look, and he's going back, and then he'll come back to close. So he'll be fine.
And I mean, like, kudos to him for being able to do that. But, often we're not able to. I'm going to throw up some of these answers, by the way. We've got Jessica. Shout out, Jessica. She's about to buy house number 4. They sold 2 immediately on orders and rented 1 out for 4 years prior to selling, which is awesome. And I do see a lot of our families doing that. It's very difficult to manage a rental when depending on where you're going or if you have time. Some people use property management companies, but some people just kind of do it on their own. And it's really a personal decision as well as where you end up the next time around. And it depends on the market. So, and then we also have, let's see, we've got Gabrielle Cook, shout out. Hubby and I just bought a house at Shaw, but every house we saw on Realtor.com was sold or pending the next day. Totally get it. See, you're in my boat. I'm serious. Like, it's like you got to strike while the iron's hot, and there's like bidding wars. Like the house next door, put it up on a Sunday. Monday, they had 22 people scheduled to come in and see this open house, and it's just nuts. It's just nuts. It was just nuts. And then we've got Crystal. Shout out, Crystal. We bought a house at Campbell, and now we're here at Carson. We sold our house at Campbell in 9 days, and we didn't even live in Clarksville. We lived in Hopkinsville, which I'm gonna have to look that up because, again, I have to associate geography with installations because geography is like not my friend. And then Jamie, shout out Jamie, bought from out of state and didn't know the area. Sold 2 years later and luckily broke even and moved on base, which again is an option. What's interesting is, and I can't remember where I found the statistic, but the average of 70% of military families live off the installation. So it's really important to have that, to have an option to live off base. And it's really hard to do. So if you're expecting orders or have them, you better start looking now, y'all, like today. Okay. Sorry, got to get my questions back up. Okay, is it my turn? It is my turn. It's my turn. Okay. So to our audience first, while I'm before Renee answers, to our audience, we want to know what you look for in a realtor. Like what kinds of things would make you pick one over the other, like hands down. Okay. And while the audience is answering, you tell us, audience, what is that magic thing that they have? While the audience is answering, Renee, what do you think military families should be looking for in an agent? Is there anything in particular that comes top of mind?
I'm going to say an experienced agent. An agent that's been in the military is nice. She understands how that works, BAH and so forth. But basically the big thing is school zones and resale, because without those two, I mean, you can buy a beautiful house on another side of town, not in a good school zone, and love it, and it fits all of your needs per se. But then when you try to resell it 3 to 5 years from now, good luck. And I'm not saying that it's not going to sell. It will sell. So it won't go as quickly typically as one that's in a private school zone, because you've got military coming and going, and those that are coming, you go like that just from the school zone. And honesty, integrity, your common stuff that we all look for in any agent person.
Oh yeah. And they're coming in, and we've got referrals on social media is a big one.
That's true.
We've got any experience with military moves, as you had mentioned. Here's a good one, Jessica, shout out. Knows the VA and remote closing or POA closing, been settled in the area for a while, responds quickly, and is organized and easy to contact. Easy to contact is so key, because I know, let's just say, audience, let's just put this out there. Renee's gig is not 9 to 5. It is not a 9 to 5 gig. Because especially since you live in an area, right, that has a higher military population, and darn well their command isn't always going to let them out to get a house, or that you have people coming in that are on leave just to look at houses, right? So that is absolutely key. I'm going to go ahead and agree with Jessica for sure.
Well, they could be in Germany, they could be in Korea, and their time difference is different than our time difference here, so you adjust.
And then Jamie here says, when we look for our next agent, we'll look for someone that knows the military lifestyle and actually listens to our needs. And I love that, because that is a common theme in all of these comments here. Here's the thing. We are entrusting these agents with the biggest purchase of our lives, right? So having that foundational understanding of what our life looks like and helping us accommodate and knowing more about the military community in general to all of the agents who are watching is absolutely key. If you need help with that, our girl Renee over here knows her stuff. We at PCS Grades cater to this exact demographic. And oh, by the way, Megan and I, military spouses. Just saying. And so for sure, these are great answers. People, keep them coming. If you're catching this on the replay, don't worry, we'll get to you too.
So a lot of great comments there, and I just want to say, with being part of the military spouse community, one of the big things that we rely on a lot is the word of mouth referrals from folks that are in the area, folks from the spouses groups that have lived in those areas and can tell us what realtors, really know their stuff, what realtors don't know their stuff, who had a great experience with who. And so, just knowing, getting that feedback and knowing from other folks' experience, how it went. So you have realistic expectations going in, knowing this realtor should make my life so much easier because they know their stuff and they've got it down to science to get us a home within our time frame. So this question goes back to our audience again. So as a military family, we know that moving everywhere to every corner of the earth, that our option and our ability to buy or sell might change with our orders depending on where we're going, where we're not going. It's not really logical or easy to buy a home in Germany as it is to buy a home in Florida kind of deal. So what do you think the real estate industry or the community absolutely needs to know about the military community and what our specific needs are? And while we're waiting for some of those answers to come in, to ask you, Renee, what do you wish, or what is an absolute must know that you had wished real estate community or your agent knew when it came to your own family's needs when you were looking at buying a home during your PCS experience?
I guess the biggest thing, which, we can't really say, is school zones. I cannot preach that enough. And even if you are a young couple, you don't have children yet, or even if you're an older couple and, you're retired and you may get retired to another base or something in a few years or maybe 10 years, you want to be in an area where you can resell. You just want, that's so important. That's so, so important. Basically just, basically just find them a great home, do your very best, do the best that you can to help everyone out, be honest, integrity. You'd be surprised how many people will buy from me, then they'll turn around and list with me and sell with me, and then actually somebody that they possibly knew down the line come from another base they referred, and then they're buying their own house. It's funny.
Mm-hmm. And It's interesting you say that because Megan actually, she's experienced that herself. That word of mouth referral, dude, it's gold standard. Just write it down. Our network is this shiznit. Like literally, our network is strong and the word of mouth is the gold standard. Yeah. Megan, go ahead and tell everybody, including Renee, what about your time here at Langley or Fort Eustis?
Yeah, so we spent some time there at Fort Eustis. So, you know, my family, we haven't bought a home yet because we generally spend every 2 years, you know, we move every 2 years. So we're at a location for such a short amount of time that for us, it hasn't made sense to buy. We're not interested in being, you know, rental property folks, you know, so we've just, you know, have only rented wherever we've gone. When we were moving to Fort Eustis a couple of years ago, that market was a really hard market that many people are experiencing now. You know, things that were listed for rental one day were, you know, already rented out the next day. And so finding a home was a really hard thing to do. You know, I reached out into the local spouses group to get some realtor referrals and everything, thinking, you know, if we have a realtor, you know, that knows the market, knows the area, they can help us find what we need. And I don't have to go down through this rabbit hole through Google and all the different websites trying to find a home that is still on the market or that we can, you know, get when we get into town. So met this realtor, her name's Dawn. She's fabulous. She's amazing. She spent all this time, I think 2-3 days showing us about 20 houses within an area that I heard our research knew where the good schools were, knew, you know, what neighborhoods we wanted to be in. And so she took the time within those 2 to 3 days, took us to all these homes to show us and everything. And I know in real estate, you know, getting somebody a rental home is not where the money is made at. You know, they make their money generally with the buying and the selling. So I knew she was not going to be making, we were not, you know, where the money was at, you know, but she took this time and gave us such a great experience that whenever, you know, in the spouses groups, it would come up asking about realtors, I made sure to plug Dawn left and right. And I made sure to tell people what our experience was with her and how phenomenal it was to, you know, have this person that dedicated their time. You know, even though the money wasn't there, because that's not where you make your big money at. You know, so in that time, the 2 years that we spent there, I think there were about 12 folks that ended up going and using Dawn, and about 9 of them bought a home from her. You know, and so it's not, so that, I mean, that'd be the big thing I'd want to tell the real estate community. Don't write off those military families looking for a rental home, because that experience that you give them is going to translate down the road with, you know, all the referrals that they're going to give based off of their experience. So while you may not make that big bucks with them, know what's coming behind it based off the experience, you know. And so that was just, you know, our experience using a realtor was phenomenal. And, you know, it gives me that kind of confidence boost that when we go to buy a home, you know, what to look for in a realtor, what a good one is, you know, what kind of experience we should be expecting from one who is really invested in our situation and in our needs.
I love that. And then she truly does it from her heart.
Yeah.
You know? So, and I will say that, and not to toot my horn by any means, but we are financially stable. My husband's retired. My kids are one's graduated. The other one's, you know, her last year in college. We are financially stable. I do it now because I absolutely love it. And I love helping people. I really do.
Yeah.
Okay. I just have to do this really fast. Allison Scott. OMG, girl, how are you? Sorry, she just popped in here. I know Allison from a previous duty station. Oh my gosh, shout out, Allison. Okay, yes, Stacy, record this one because this one counts. Oh my gosh, we have to hook up after this. And then we also have, you know, a few things here. You know, shout out from Team Carson. What's up, Mari? What's up, Marissa? Team Carson, that's Fort Carson in Colorado, by the way, for those of you who are geographically challenged, as am I. And then, of course, we have, oh my goodness, wow. Look at this. Oh, we have a question. Sorry, we have a question, Megan, really quick. Are moving companies taking extra precautions when entering homes? Now, this is, shout out Sonia. Sonia may not have attended previous ones, but tell her what you told us last time.
Yes. So any crews that are coming into your home and doing any work within your home, whether it's packing, loading, delivery, they are to be wearing masks when they come to work in your home. Right now, it's just a force protection guidance from the DOD, but it's going into the tender of service. which will take effect May 15th this year. So it'll be a required regulation for them to follow. If at any point those folks are not wearing a mask, you have it within your right, and you're supported by the DoD to ask them to stop working and to step outside. If you have extra masks, I know some folks have kept extra, disposable masks on hand, so that way, if somebody shows up and they forgot theirs, they can hand them a disposable one that they can put on. But you can tell them to please step outside, stop working, call your move coordinator for any issues, so that way they can step in and help rectify the issues. You can call your local transportation office also as a person that can come and help fix that situation. But crews should absolutely be wearing a mask when they are doing any type of work in your home. And a good rule to follow is that, the whole smoke break type of deal, that if they have to take a smoke break, it's out by the truck 50 feet away from your home. If they have to take a mask break, smoke break, mask break, they all follow the same rules. It's out by the truck 50 feet away from your home.
Hear us? We're watching you. Oh, really quick, some shout outs. We have such a welcoming group, Renee, the spouses in our community at large are very welcoming. So Lauren, shout out Lauren. Hey, Renee. And then we've got Monica, shout out. Crystal, yep. Hey, Renee.
Hello.
Oh, Jessica, nice little welcome.
Nice. Make me feel welcome.
And then this is one that maybe you understand. I just personally am not. Go Dogs. Okay. Is that like a sports team or something?
Georgia Bulldogs.
That's where my daughter's at UGA, University of Georgia, her senior year. Whoop, whoop.
Okay. Go Dogs. That is so funny. Okay, where else am I at? Oh, wow. We just had so many people. Here is something. Angela, shout out Angela. We also interviewed potential realtors. We asked them how many homes they've sold in our local area or found for families recently. How familiar are you with working with military families, etc.? Recommendations are great, but this is also a huge financial decision, and you need to feel comfortable with the realtor you're working with. Comfort is key.
Very true.
Comfort is definitely key. I mean, I always used to think of it like, my husband told me, don't you ever dare don't go to a car lot on your own, because those smooth talkers will have you walking out of there with $100,000 with a car or something like that. But you know what I mean? He was, they didn't really understand. That's totally separate from what realtors do. Realtors actually get into the nitty gritty of what your needs are. And that is a determination on who's successful and who's not. Because if you're good to go and you don't have to worry about any of the things that that your realtor has already anticipated, then you just got yourself a really awesome realtor, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let me see what else, if we have any here. There was one question. I believe it was Sarah Rod had a question about, okay, here we go. Is there going to be a penalty if we have to sell before a certain time? And I'm assuming, Sarah, that you're referring to a VA loan. Is there a penalty if a military family has to sell their home, prior to, is there a benchmark? Is there a time frame?
Within no, not necessarily. Now, if you use a realtor, it's going to hurt you. You don't, let me put it to you. So there's real estate fees. So depending on what you paid for your house, somebody would have to literally go in and do a market analysis, and to do the market analysis, work the numbers in and the fees and so forth, and show you what your bottom line is going to be. So financially, it may ding you a little bit. You may not profit as much. So that's really just a question, depending on your location, where you're at, if the agent's going to sit down and can work those numbers with you and show you that. Okay.
And so my next question would be, even if they got there, they bought the house, intended to stay, but somehow the military had other plans for them, surprise, surprise. Mm-hmm. And so now they have to leave. Is there no military clause or protection?
Well, if you own the home, no.
Okay.
But you can rent it out, and then a good agent that's not desperate is going to explain to you, look, here, the rental market is this way. You need to sit on the house for another few years because this is your situation. And it depends on if they did 100% financing with the VA, if they got a deal when they bought the house because maybe the market was down at that time, and maybe now it's back up on running, and maybe a quick turnaround. So you would look at how much their monthly mortgage is versus what they could rent it for, or how much their monthly mortgage is, how quickly we can sell it, and they could be relieved of that debt. They may be willing to lose $5,000 in the big picture to be able to be relieved of that debt to move on to the next one.
Okay, that makes sense.
Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. Sarah, yes, that was your question. I think it was your question. That was her name up there, right, Sarah?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
noticing the cute little braids, so that was her. Yeah.
You're so funny, Sarah. No, I knew exactly what you meant, so I got it. And it's really interesting because I think so. What you mean, what a realtor should be doing when we're faced with that situation is educating us on our options, right? So that we don't end up in that scenario.
Very good.
Yeah. And then Julia had a question. Shout out, Julia. For this year's transfer season coming up, summer 2021, how many months before do you recommend start looking into buying a house in the new location? Do you think that will that COVID will slow things down even more?
Okay, so you want me to answer that, correct?
Yes, please. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so COVID is not slowing it down. I mean, we have been booming the entire time. Lenders are still working like crazy, agents, appraisers, home inspectors, so forth. So no, the COVID's doesn't affect it. And I would say it takes about 30 to 45 days to close on a loan. So I would say you would want to probably start looking maybe 3 months in advance. I mean, you can kind of scope the area online if you know where you're going. Knowing that, you and your agent, like if, y'all can stay in contact and you can send things so we can kind of get a vibe on what you like. As far as you want all brick, do you want upgrades? Do you want any land? Do you want privacy fence because you've got animals and so forth to get a head start? But ultimately, when you actually are ready to purchase, I would say 3 months. Because the market is right now, depending on what area you're going in, you may, like we've had to put 13 offers in on a home before. I bid, there's been 13 offers on it and my buyer got it luckily, but I knew how to guide them because I'd been with my buyer enough that I knew what I needed to do to get them to the place to where they had an advantage to get the house. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Wow. This is so complicated.
It's crazy market.
Thank you for educating us because I'm going to tell you right now, like I said, right now we are renting, right? We've lived on base my husband's entire career, right? It's like 20 years, right? And so, I mean, imagine this is the first place I've ever rented. Imagine paying your electric bill for the first time at 35 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. Right. So this whole house business and me working for PCS grades, I'm getting obviously, very, very, I'm getting baptized by fire, which is great because the more I know, the more questions
Knowledge
I have.
Is power. Knowledge is power. I'm going to say one other thing real briefly, though. So my husband and I are extremely thrifty, always have been. We're both raised that way. Thank goodness we're on the same page with that. Our friends joke, we're cheap, whatever. But I will say, if you think about it like this, you're getting BAH, right? You get a certain amount for BAH. If you can get, and what I do is I find out how much people, what they're comfortable paying. So then I will send them to a local lender, have the local lender, tell the local lender, especially first-time buyers, I say, tell the local lender how much you want to pay. Escrow is included. That's your taxes and insurance. And if you're comfortable paying $1,000 a month, tell the lender that because she wants to work with you too. And then and she will tell you what home price range you need to be looking in. So then you can look at homes in that range and go, oh, no, I think I'll stay on base for that. Oh, well, maybe actually I didn't realize that I could get this nice of a home for that amount. And then the military's paying for your house. Then when you go to sell it, you get money back. Whereas if you're renting or staying on base, you don't. And you also get a tax break when you own a home. Just saying.
Yeah. And just for the record, again, hopefully I'm not speaking out of turn. I just read something that said there is a potential for like a first-time home buyer's credit coming up of like $15,000. Like I was like, ooh, I'm gonna have to read more into that. So yeah, Google that because I could be talking out of turn. But look it up, people. Okay, let me see really quick. All right. Sorry, I just want to make sure that I didn't miss any questions because y'all are on fire. Making MJ and Megan look bad with all your questions. No, actually, you guys, this was fantastic, actually, because we got out exactly, do you feel, Renee, like you learned a lot too?
I do, and I am so impressed with y'all. I love this.
It's fantastic. This was the first time we ever tried something where it's kind of like our guest in reverse, right? And I'm going to tell you, we got a slew of subject matter experts here just blowing the comment section up, and I am so proud of that. We're going to go ahead before we close out. We're going to do our wheel of names. This is how we choose our prize. All right, so here's the prizes, peeps. We've got 2 Hope Design Limited, shout out Lauren Hope Design Limited bling necklaces, and we also have 2 PCS grades t-shirts to give away. So that's 4. That's 4 names, okay? And I know a lot of you were just engaging a lot, so do not be surprised if you walk away with one of those things. So the first things first, we're going to start first. Let me see. With the t-shirts. So I'm going to open my brain up here because usually we have Stacey Benson, the lovely Coastie of our lives on the back end doing all of these things. And so when I have to in somehow shape or form, like engage into any of the technical stuff, I kind of get a little sidetracked. So if you see me like, while I'm getting this together, Renee, is there any last, any saved rounds that you have for our audience that you just really just want them to know and stuff?
Most agents are awesome. Most of us are honest, ethical. We truly want to help you. We all have a good heart. So, and I will say, like I said, we're very thrifty, my husband and I never had any idea what all agents do for you. A good agent is really a good benefit for you, honestly. And I mean that sincerely. And there is no way I'm an agent here in Georgia, and we're all different. So if I were to move to North Carolina, to Virginia, to anywhere, as much as I know, I would still use an agent on that side, because we know things that, especially an experienced agent, we know things that other agents don't know. I mean, that buyers just don't know. And that, so.
Yes. Otherwise known as a good time waiting to happen.
Yes.
I'm just so stealing that. It's just awesome.
The kids roll their eyes. They're like, oh, that's so
They can roll them all you want. Be like, okay, you can roll your eyes all you want, kiddo. But guess what? I just paid for your t-shirt.
I love it.
All right. Here we go. I'm going to share these names. I'm going to share my screen. And let me know if you can see it.
Yay.
Okay. First things up is we're giving away those 2 t-shirts, those 2 PCS grades t-shirts. And drum roll. Sarah Rudd. Okay, Sarah, you get a PCS grades t-shirt because you want to look like us all day. All right. Let us go.
Sarah.
Congrats, Sarah. Sarah, I got you. I got you. I'm gonna get your info so we can shoot that along. Next t-shirt coming up. Paulette Fryer. Shout out, Paulette. You are also going to have the chance to rock it and be twinsies, I guess, triplet tees. I don't know how you do that, but yes, yes. We're going to be twinning everywhere. All right.
Congratulations,
so, congrats.
Paulette.
Yes. Okay, now for the 2 Hope Design necklaces. Okay, first one. I will laugh so hard if Lauren Hope herself ends up with one of her necklaces. We'll get her a t-shirt if that's the case. I will laugh. Who do we have? We have Jamie. Okay, Yay. Jamie. Yes. Yay. You could message. Congratulations if you could message the Facebook page so I can get your information, your t-shirt, or your address and all that. Go ahead and message us at the PCS Grades Facebook page.
Congratulations, Jamie.
Congrats. And the last necklace goes to Jessica Pollock. Yes, congratulations, Jessica. If you too could message our Facebook page and let us know so we can get your information and get that out to you, that would be awesome. Oh my gosh, congratulations to all of our winners,
Congrats, Jessica.
I am going to stop sharing my screen so I don't make everybody crazy like my brain. Oh my goodness. It was a great show today. We want to thank you, Renee, so much for coming on and listening to our audience and letting them pick your brain as well. Audience, we're going to stay in touch with Renee here. If you have any saved rounds for her, if anybody's catching this on the replay, go ahead and get with us and we'll make sure that you're able to answer that question. Certainly, especially if anybody is ending up out at Robbins. So that would be kind of cool because that's, emergency contact. Can we say that? No, I'm just kidding. But yes.
I'm here. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Absolutely. And as always, thank you, Megan, our lovely PCS reform advocate, AKA. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And of course, until next time, Megan.
This too shall PCS.
Bye, everybody.